Have you ever asked yourself, how far will you go when life becomes heavy? When your heart longs for peace, but the world pulls you in so many directions? Have you noticed how desires never seem to end, and the more we try to hold on, the more restless we feel? Maybe in your daily life, you hurry from one task to another, feeling like peace is always waiting for tomorrow. But what if tomorrow never gives it? What if the real journey begins today? Think for a moment. Imagine carrying a bag full of stones on your back every single day. At first, you may not notice the weight, but slowly, step by step, it makes walking harder, your breath shorter, and even the beauty of the path looks dull. This is how our attachments, fears, and desires weigh us down. The journey of the heart often begins when we realize we cannot carry this weight forever. This is exactly why we are here together, and I welcome you warmly to this space of reflection, growth, and gentle wisdom. Welcome to Wisdom Woven. Before we move forward, let me share one truth with you. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.3% subscribes. That number is so small, isn't it? So, I invite you with love, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your simple action supports us so deeply, and together we can continue unfolding these life-changing journeys. Will you take that step today? Buddhism always begins with a question. Why do we suffer? The Buddha himself asked this when he saw the realities of sickness, aging, and death. He did not turn away. He did not hide. He looked deeply and began his journey to find freedom. His path was not only for him, but for all who search for peace beyond the endless cycle of wanting and clinging. Each of us, no matter where we are in life, carry the same question within us. The heart of Buddhism is not about changing into someone new, but about discovering what has always been true inside us. It is about uncovering clarity when our mind is clouded, and finding courage when fear blocks the way. This is not a distant idea. It is something you can feel in your daily breath, in your quiet moments, in the way you treat yourself and others. In this journey, we will talk about how far we are truly willing to go for freedom, for compassion, and for truth. The path asks for honesty, for effort, and for love. Sometimes it asks for letting go of things we never thought we could release. And sometimes it only asks us to pause, to breathe, and to see ourselves as we are, without judgment. This introduction is an invitation to walk together, to search not for distant answers, but for the strength already present within your heart, to see that every step, no matter how small, is a movement toward freedom, and to realize that the question, how far will you go, is not just about reaching some destination, but about how deeply you are willing to live each moment, awake and alive. There is a quiet question that follows every person who begins a journey toward understanding life. What is it that truly moves you? Is it the shimmering hope of pleasure, the ache of craving something more, or maybe the deep longing to be free from pain? The truth is, from the moment we open our eyes each day, we carry desires like shadows, some bright and alluring, others heavy and pulling us down. In Buddhism, we learn that desires are like the wind, sometimes gentle, sometimes a storm, and how far we are willing to go in life often depends on how much we let these winds shape our path. Desire is not just about wanting things like money, success, or comfort. It is much more subtle, an urge for approval, for safety, for being understood. When the Buddha spoke of tanha, or craving, he showed us something profound. It is not the desire itself that causes suffering, but our attachment to it. We hold on tightly to what we want and push away what we do not want. This grip creates endless cycles of happiness followed by disappointment and restlessness. Imagine walking on a path with heavy chains. These chains are your clinging desires, and they keep you from moving freely. Many people try to run faster, achieve more, or distract themselves to escape this feeling of heaviness. But what if the real freedom comes when we stop running? What if instead of chasing after every desire, we pause, turn around, and look deeply at what is moving inside us? This is not an easy step. It asks for bravery, the courage to face the truth of how often we are pulled around by our wants and fears. Yet, this courage is also the first true step on the path to lasting peace. The moment you see your desires with clear eyes is the moment you take a gentle step away from suffering. Think about this. Have you noticed how many desires come from feeling incomplete or not enough? When we feel lonely, we crave company. When we feel scared, we crave security. When we feel empty, we crave excitement. These desires are signals, quiet messengers from your heart telling you what is missing or what needs to heal. Instead of pushing away these signals or blaming ourselves for having them, Buddhism teaches us to listen with kindness. Like a compassionate friend, we turn toward these feelings and ask, "What do you need? Why are you here?" In this listening, something shifts. The desire loses its sharp edge and softens into understanding. There is a beautiful teaching in Buddhism about the middle way. It is a path that avoids extremes. Not too much indulgence in desires, and not too much harsh denial of them. This way encourages balance and gentle awareness. It asks us to recognize the desire without being consumed by it. When we start walking this middle road, we discover that desires are not our enemy, but part of being human. They are like waves in the ocean, sometimes strong, sometimes calm. But the ocean itself remains vast and still beneath them all. How far will you go when you learn to see your desires like this? Will you keep chasing every wave, or will you move to the deeper, calmer part of your being? This question is not about stopping life or giving up joy, but about finding joy that does not depend on endless wanting. It is about discovering a peace that is not shaken by passing winds. There is a story about a man who lived near a river. Every day, he would watch the water flow, feeling restless inside. One day, an old monk came to visit him and asked, "Why do you seem troubled?" The man replied, "I want happiness, but something always feels missing." The monk said, "The river flows no matter what you do. You cannot hold onto the water, but you can learn to swim with it." The man looked confused. The monk smiled and said, "Your desires are like the river. Don't fight them or try to stop the flow. Instead, learn to move gently with them, and you will find peace." This story is simple, but holds a world of truth. When we stop resisting our desires or pushing them away, we start flowing with life rather than against it. This does not mean giving up on dreams or hopes. Instead, it means having a heart that is open and wise enough to navigate the currents with calm and clarity. In practical life, this might look like paying attention to what you truly need instead of what your mind endlessly wants. It could mean feeling the urge inside to react or cling, then choosing a different response. A response of patience, understanding, or letting go. It might be as gentle as breathing deeply when fear arises, or as challenging as walking away from things that do not serve your true well-being. Our minds are often busy bees, flitting from one thought to another, caught in desires and distractions. But Buddhism invites us to become a calm observer of this buzz, a witness who is not caught in the storm, but watches it pass. When we train our minds with meditation or quiet reflection, we grow stronger in this witnessing. We learn to see desires as small clouds crossing the sky of our awareness, knowing they will come and go, but the sky remains vast and clear. How far will you go when you trust this vast sky inside yourself? Will you keep being pulled by every cloud? Or will you step back and let them drift, returning your attention to the peaceful sky that is always there? This choice is not made once and forever. It is made again and again, moment by moment, breath by breath. There is no shame in wanting. Desire is a natural part of life. What matters is how we live with desire. Do we let it rule us, or do we use it as a teacher? In Buddhism, we say that understanding desire is the gateway to freedom. The more we know our own hearts, the less power desires have to control us. When desire loses its power, we experience a deep peace that does not come from outside but grows within. This peace is not about escaping the world. It is about seeing the world clearly and meeting it with an open heart. It is about moving forward on the path, not because something is missing, but because each moment is precious and alive. The path asks us to go far, yes, but also to go gently, to walk with patience, with kindness, and with the understanding that the journey itself is the true destination. So, how far will you go when you realize that the weight you carry is made of your own attachments? How far will you go when you find the courage to loosen your grip and breathe freely? This is an invitation to begin or continue a deep inner journey. A journey that touches your heart, calms your mind, and awakens your true self. Let these words be a gentle light as you move forward. There is no rush, no finish line calling you urgently. Only the quiet path beneath your feet and the timeless sky above. Walk as far as you are willing, with an open heart and steady steps. The journey itself is your greatest teacher, and every step you take is a victory over the chains of desire. I will begin drafting a substantial portion of Part 3 here, ensuring it holds the tone and style requested. If it requires continuation, I can provide subsequent segments accordingly. There is a gentle invitation that life offers, often hidden behind the noise of our daily routines. The invitation to step beyond what is comfortable. It is a question quietly whispered by the winds and reflected in the stillness of your heart. How far are you willing to go, not just in distance or achievement, but how far will you journey beyond the safe, familiar places of your mind and spirit? Many of us spend much of our lives inside a comfort zone, a place where the known comforts us and the unknown scares us. This zone is like a small room where everything is predictable and safe. But beyond the walls of this room lies the vastness of experience, the richness of growth, and the unfolding of true freedom. The truth is, comfort often hides the limits we place on ourselves, even when we do not notice. Buddhism teaches us that growth and awakening come when we dare to walk out of that room. When we allow ourselves to face discomfort without fear. It is through discomfort that the heart stretches, like a muscle that becomes strong only when it is used. There is no shame in seeking comfort. It is a natural wish for safety and peace. But there is great wisdom in knowing when to gently loosen the grip of comfort and step into the unknown. Imagine a seed buried beneath the earth. It rests in darkness, warm and safe. Yet to grow into a strong tree, it must push through the soil, sometimes breaking apart the very ground that protects it. This is the nature of transformation. Similarly, when we choose to face challenges and let go of habits that no longer serve us, we begin to awaken a deeper part of ourselves, a part that is brave, resilient, and alive. It is not necessary to take big leaps or rush into change. The path of stepping beyond comfort can be as simple as noticing a small fear and still deciding to take one more breath, one more step forward. It may mean opening your heart to a conversation that you have avoided, or sitting quietly with emotions that feel heavy. These moments, though small, are the building blocks of courage. Sometimes, Stepping beyond comfort feels like walking through a fog. The future is unclear, and doubts arise like shadows. But this fog is also a space where transformation happens, where old patterns dissolve and new ways of being emerge. You do not need to see the whole path to take the next step. You only need enough courage for the step you are on right now. This journey beyond comfort is not about forcing yourself or creating harsh pressure. It is about gentle willingness. Willingness to be present with what is, without turning away. Buddhism offers tools like mindfulness to help with this. Mindfulness allows us to lean into discomfort with kindness, not judgment. It teaches us to watch our thoughts and feelings as if they were leaves floating on a stream, neither grabbing nor pushing them away. When discomfort arises, our first instinct might be to run or resist. But what if we could welcome discomfort as a wise teacher? What if the unease in your chest, the tightness in your stomach, or the restlessness of your mind were signals guiding you deeper toward freedom? Each moment of discomfort, when met with patience, is like a doorway opening to a new level of understanding. There is a parable in Zen stories about a man who crossed a river on foot. The water became rough and cold, and he felt fear gripping him. But rather than rushing or freezing in panic, he moved slowly, feeling each step on the stones beneath the water. The river's flow was strong, but he did not fight it. Instead, he moved with it, allowing the current to guide but not carry him away. In this story is a hidden lesson. Going beyond comfort is not about battling life, but flowing with it deeply. You might ask, how do I know when to step forward? Life itself gives gentle hints. If your mind feels stuck in worry, if your heart aches for something more, if your spirit feels restless, these are signs that it is time to step beyond familiar borders. It is not a failure to feel fear or hesitation. These are natural parts of being human. Yet you are stronger than your fears, deeper than your doubts. In your everyday moments, the invitation to step beyond comfort might come as a small voice encouraging you to be more honest, more loving, more present. It might ask you to forgive a hurt, to speak your truth, or to embrace silence instead of busyness. Each time you respond, you move further on the path, not by force, but by choice. As a Zen master, I tell you this: the true journey is not about reaching somewhere far away. It is about going deeply where you are right now. It is about discovering that the unknown you fear is also where your freedom waits. The more you practice stepping beyond comfort, the more you will find the strength in your own heart to face life with open arms. This is not a path of quick fixes. It is the unfolding of a lifetime. A patient unfolding like the petals of a lotus flower rising from the mud to bloom in the sun. There will be days when the road seems easy and others when the weight of doubt slows your steps. In every moment, your willingness to walk forward is a sacred act of courage. Remember that you are never alone on this path. The wisdom of those who walked before you, the support of those who walk beside you, and the kindness you give yourself as you move forward are all part of this beautiful journey. Step by step, breath by breath, you are discovering the depths of your own being. So, today, ask yourself, how far am I willing to go beyond my comfort? To what new horizons will I open my heart? The answers will not always come at once, but with each step taken gently forward, you will uncover a strength and peace that will carry you far beyond what you imagined possible. Walk slowly, walk kindly, and keep your eyes open to the beauty along the way. The path beyond comfort is not a burden, but a gift, one that leads you true home to yourself. Life often shows us a mirror, reflecting back the parts of ourselves we may wish to hide or deny. This mirror is not about judgment or blame, but about honest seeing. a gentle invitation to meet the truth of our suffering and the ways we resist it. The Buddha spoke deeply about suffering, not to leave us in despair, but to open the door to freedom. It is through understanding suffering that we awaken to the possibility of peace. Have you noticed how often pain knocks at your door? Sometimes it arrives dressed as loss, loneliness, or disappointment. Other times, it hides beneath anxiety, frustration, or restlessness. These are the faces of suffering, a universal experience that touches every heart. Buddhism calls this experience dukkha, a word that means more than just suffering. It speaks of the unsatisfactoriness that lingers when we cling to things that change or when we resist the natural flow of life. This unsatisfactoriness is like a small crack in a beautiful vase. The vase may still hold flowers, but the crack is a reminder that nothing lasts forever, and what we hold dear can shift in an instant. The challenge is not to fix or hide the crack, but to learn how to live with it with grace and openness. When we stop fighting against suffering and start seeing it clearly, we begin to move toward healing and wisdom. There is a simple truth in Buddhism that many find comforting. Suffering is not a punishment or a sign of failure. It is part of our human experience, and, when embraced with understanding, it becomes a gateway to transformation. When you face your pain directly, rather than running from it or covering it up, you open a space for deep growth. This space is where compassion for yourself is born. Think about a time when you felt heartbroken or deeply troubled. In those moments, what did you do? Often, the first reaction is to push pain away or distract the mind with noise and busyness. This is natural, but it can keep us trapped in patterns that do not serve our well-being. In contrast, the Buddhist path invites us to gently turn towards pain with kindness, to sit with it as a wise friend rather than an enemy. This turning towards suffering is not about wallowing or becoming overwhelmed. It is about holding your pain with tenderness and recognition. Imagine holding a fragile bird in your hands. You would be careful, soft, and patient. The same care can be given to your own heart. This practice slowly melts the sharp edges of suffering and helps us see that pain, like a rainstorm, will pass and leave fresh growth in its wake. In everyday life, this means allowing yourself to feel your emotions fully, whether sadness, anger, or fear. It means not pushing difficult feelings into the shadows or ignoring them, but welcoming them as parts of your whole experience. Meditation and mindfulness are powerful tools for this. When you meditate, you learn to observe sensations and emotions without judgment, watching them rise and fall like waves on the ocean. This witnessing calms the mind and brings clarity. There is a beautiful saying in Buddhism: pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. Pain comes to everyone, but suffering is the extra layer of struggle we add by resisting or denying what is. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with stones. Pain might be one stone, but suffering is piling on many more stones on top of it. When you start to recognize this, you can begin to unwrap the heavy load, stone by stone. How far will you go when you are willing to meet your suffering with courage? This question is not just about enduring pain, but about transforming your relationship with it. This transformation begins with small moments. Deep breaths when anxiety rises, a gentle smile offered to yourself in hardship, or a whispered prayer of kindness in the night. Each of these moments builds strength. There is a story about a monk who met a traveler on a mountain path. The traveler was carrying a heavy burden and complained about the steep climb. The monk asked, "Why do you carry such a weight?" The traveler replied, "Because the path is difficult, and I cannot leave it behind." The monk smiled and said, "What if the burden is not the path but your own grip?" This story reminds us that sometimes suffering is made heavier by the way we hold on. In Buddhism, the practice of compassion extends not only to others, but deeply to ourselves. When we suffer, we often forget to treat ourselves with kindness. Instead, harsh criticism or self-blame may arise, but compassion invites a different response. One that sees your pain clearly and offers gentle care as you would to a beloved friend. This compassionate attitude is a powerful healer. It is important to remember that you are not alone in your suffering. All beings experience pain, and this shared experience connects us deeply. The Buddhist teachings are like a bridge over the river of suffering to a place of understanding and peace. When you walk this bridge with open eyes, you discover that your pain is part of a larger human story, one that weaves us all together with threads of compassion. How far will you go when you allow your heart to open to the truth of suffering? Will you close it tightly in fear or receive it with gentle acceptance? Each choice shapes your journey. The path of awakening does not promise to remove pain, but to change how you live with it. With wisdom, patience, and love, even in the darkest moments, there is a seed of light waiting to grow. This seed is the understanding that suffering is not the end, but the beginning of a deeper awakening. The more you embrace this, the more you will find space for peace within the storms of life. This peace is not a distant dream, but can be touched in moments of stillness and presence. The heart that knows suffering becomes a heart that understands joy more deeply. Like the lotus that blooms from muddy waters, your true nature can shine even from difficult times. Walking this path is not always easy, but it is the way to profound freedom and compassion. So, in the quiet of your being, ask yourself, how far will I go in embracing my suffering? How deeply will I open to the healing that comes with understanding? The journey is yours, gentle and real, unfolding step by tender step. Let your heart be soft as you move forward. The mirror of suffering may reveal cracks and shadows, but it also shows the strength and beauty of your true self. Walk with courage, walk with kindness, and know that every moment of pain met with love is a step toward awakening. There lives inside each heart a small flame, sometimes flickering, sometimes steady, sometimes nearly lost in wind, but always there. This flame is the flame of determination. It is the quiet, persistent spark that urges us to move forward even when the road is steep, the nights are long, and the challenges seem endless. How far will you go when you discover this flame within yourself? How brightly will you allow it to burn? Determination in Buddhist thought is not about force or stubbornness. It is about a gentle, unwavering commitment to the path of awakening. It is a kind of courage born from understanding, a patient power that carries the seeker beyond distractions and doubt. This is the energy that keeps the traveler on the path, even when comfort calls them back or fear whispers of retreat. It is the flame that lights the way in darkness. The Buddha himself showed this determination. Before his awakening, he tried many extreme paths, searching for truth beyond the ordinary world. He did not give up, even when the effort was exhausting and the answers unclear. Finally, under the Bodhi tree, he found balance, not by pushing too hard or giving up, but by steady, mindful resolve. His story teaches us that awakening is not a sudden leap, but a steady unfolding fueled by determination. When you feel your flame flicker, it is natural to want to hide or give up. Life's storms can be fierce, and the mind can fill with doubt. Is this journey worth it? Am I strong enough? These questions are part of the human experience. The key is not to silence them, but to acknowledge and hold them gently while returning to your flame. The small determination still burning inside. Imagine a candle in a vast room. One gust of wind may threaten to blow it out, but if you cup your hands around it, sheltering it with care, it continues to shine. Your determination is that candle flame. Protect it with kindness. Feed it with small, steady actions every day. A few mindful breaths, a moment of patience, a choice toward peace instead of conflict. They are the gentle strokes that keep the flame alive. Determination does not mean perfection, nor does it demand unbroken strength. On the contrary, it embraces your humanness with compassion. There will be days when the flame dims, when weariness overwhelms. In those moments, treat yourself as the Buddha would, as a friend worthy of love and patience. Know that resting your flame now will help it burn stronger tomorrow. This kind of determination shines most brightly when paired with clear intention. It is not enough to want change. We must know why we want it. The wisdom of Buddhism teaches us to align our determination with compassion and insight. When your will is rooted in kindness toward yourself and others, your journey becomes a dance rather than a battle. Your steps become more joyful, guided by a heart awake to truth. There is a story of a bamboo tree that teaches us about this kind of determination. When first planted, the bamboo seed shows no sign of growth above the soil for years. Yet beneath the earth, its roots spread deep and wide, preparing it to grow tall. Then, suddenly, it shoots up many feet in a short time. The bamboo's growth is a powerful symbol. It reminds us that steady, unseen effort is often building the foundation for what will one day appear as sudden progress. Your inner flame, your determination, too often grows quietly below the surface. It strengthens in moments of solitude, in small decisions to be present, and in the gentle refusal to give up. Even when the world feels heavy, this quiet energy is there, ready to carry you forward. How far will you go when you honor your inner flame, nurturing it with every breath? Will you let it guide you gently but surely, through days of light and shadow? This flame is neither loud nor boastful. It shines steadily, softly illuminating the path of deep healing and awakening. Life's challenges may sometimes seem like fierce storms, testing the flame's endurance. Yet with kindness and steady care, it can survive even the strongest winds. In this way, determination is also a teacher, showing us the balance between holding on and letting go, between effort and ease. In practical terms, nurturing your determination might mean small daily practices. A moment of meditation, a kind word to yourself when doubt arises, a conscious choice to pause instead of react. These simple acts build strength over time. They connect you to the flame inside, reminding you that you are capable of great resilience. When difficulties come, and they surely will, hold the flame softly. Remember that the flame does not need to burn with wildfire to be powerful. Even a gentle glow can light the darkest paths. This is a powerful lesson, not about pushing harder, but about steady, kind persistence. There is no rush in this journey. The flame's light grows in its own time. Some days it may glow warmly, others it may seem faint. Both are natural parts of the dance. What matters is your willingness to keep coming back to the flame, to feed it patiently and lovingly. This determination, incorporated with kindness, becomes a source of great peace. It frees you from the harsh demands of perfection and opens a space where you can be fully yourself, imperfect, striving, and beautiful in your growth. The Buddha reminded us that the path to awakening is gentle but requires truthful effort. This effort is not a burden but a gift we give to ourselves, an act of love that says, "I will not give up on my freedom and peace." So, how far will you go when you find this flame of determination within you? How deeply will you nurture it with patience and care? The light you carry is precious. It is a beacon not only for your own path, but for those who may follow after you. Walk gently but firmly, knowing that the flame inside you can endure all seasons, all trials. Let it be your steady companion as you move through the unfolding journey of awakening. With each step, with each breath, your flame burns brighter, lighting the endless path beyond. There is a teacher inside every moment of life, often hidden where we least expect it. This teacher is called fear, though many see fear as a shadow to avoid or a force to conquer. Buddhism invites us to look at fear differently. It is not the enemy but a wise companion, one that speaks in a language of protection and guidance. How far will you go when you embrace fear as a teacher rather than a barrier? Fear is a natural part of being alive. It arises when we sense danger, loss, or change. Sometimes it whispers softly, urging caution. Other times it roars loudly, stopping us in our tracks. Fear can feel heavy and suffocating, making the heart pound and the mind swirl. Yet, through the eyes of wisdom, fear is simply a messenger, an invitation to pay attention to what matters deeply inside us. The Buddha taught that much of our suffering is caused by the ways we try to escape or resist fear. When fear rises, we often run away, push it down, or distract ourselves with activities that numb the heart. While these reactions are understandable, they often keep us locked in a cycle of anxiety and unease. Buddhism shows another path, one of meeting fear with openness and gentle curiosity. Imagine fear as a wild horse. At first, it may seem uncontrollable, fierce, and frightening. Yet if we learn to sit quietly with it, to breathe with it instead of fighting it, that wild horse begins to calm. It transforms from a force that drags us this way and that into a steady companion that helps carry us forward. This is the practice of fear as a teacher. Have you noticed how sometimes fear points us toward what is truly precious? For example, fear for safety or for loved ones often reveals the depth of our care and connection. Fear of failure might be a signal that our goals matter deeply, even if the path to them is uncertain. When we listen to fear with kindness, it ceases to be a chain and becomes a guide. There is a beautiful story from Buddhist teachings about a monk who walked a narrow mountain path. One day, he saw a frightened traveler frozen with fear, unable to move. The monk approached and said, "Fear is natural, but standing still will not help you cross." Then the monk taught the traveler to breathe deeply and take one small step at a time. With each step, the fear lessened, and soon the traveler was walking steadily again. This story reminds us that fear's power softens with careful attention and gentle action. When fear appears, the first step is not to reject or avoid it, but to notice it fully. This noticing is a form of mindfulness, paying kind attention to the sensation of fear in the body, the thoughts that arise, and the feelings that swirl. This practice helps the mind become calm and steady, like a lake reflecting the sky without disturbance. It is important to understand that embracing fear does not mean we have to rush into danger or ignore what is wise. It means we can acknowledge fear without letting it control us or stop our growth. Sometimes the greatest acts of courage happen when we choose to move forward despite fear's presence, not in ignorance of it. Fear can also teach us about our limits and boundaries. In Buddhism, balance is sacred. Fear might be signaling that we need rest, protection, or change. Listening deeply to fear can guide us to live more honestly and safely, not recklessly. This wisdom is not found in fighting fear, but in dancing gently with it, finding harmony between caution and courage. In moments when fear feels overwhelming, remember to return your attention to the breath. Breath is a bridge that connects your heart, mind, and body. With each mindful breath, the tightness of fear loosens a little. Each breath becomes a small victory, a step closer to peace. How far will you go when you begin to understand what fear is trying to teach you? When instead of shrinking from it, you meet it with a warm heart and steady mind. This is not about erasing fear, but about transforming your relationship with it. When fear no longer rules from the shadows, a quiet strength and clarity emerge. There is no shame in trembling or hesitating. This is the human way. Even the Buddha sat in silence when fear arose. What matters is your willingness to keep returning to the path, one breath at a time, even when your heart pounds with uncertainty. This return itself is an expression of great bravery. Fear can become a teacher that awakens compassion in your heart, not only for yourself, but for all beings who know this feeling of vulnerability. When you recognize fear in yourself, it becomes easier to meet fear and suffering in others with tenderness and understanding. This shared experience connects us deeply, reminding us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the presence of love in the face of it. Journeying with fear as a teacher shows us the delicate balance between holding tight and letting go. It reveals that sometimes strength lies in gentle yielding, and sometimes peace comes from standing firm. Both are needed on the path of awakening. Imagine your life as a boat on the ocean. Fear might be the waves, sometimes rough and roaring, sometimes soft and rhythmic. You cannot stop the waves, but you can learn to navigate them with skill and calm. The art is in learning to ride the waves of fear without capsizing, trusting the boat you have built in the strength of your own heart. How far will you go when you let fear guide you instead of control you? When fear becomes a signpost rather than a prison, each mindful step forward, each breath held gently in awareness, is a profound act of freedom. It is the unfolding of your true courage and wisdom. In this unfolding, the deepest parts of you begin to awaken, the parts that cannot be shaken by fear's passing storms. These parts know that life's greatest gift is not safety or certainty, but the capacity to meet all that comes with open arms and a kind heart. So, journey slowly with fear as your teacher. Let it show you what truly matters and where your deepest courage lies. Trust that this path, although sometimes shadowed, leads to a light that shines from within you, a light that no fear can extinguish. With every breath, with every step, you move closer to the freedom that comes when fear is seen, understood, and embraced. This is the sacred dance of awakening, the journey that leads you beyond fear and into the heart of peace. Life asks us to hold many things: a job, relationships, hopes, memories. The burden can sometimes feel so heavy that our shoulders ache and our hearts grow tired. Buddhism teaches a path of freedom called the discipline of letting go. This discipline is not about giving up or losing everything we care about, but about gently releasing what holds us back from peace and joy. How far will you go when you learn to let go with love? Letting go is one of the most tender lessons life teaches, and also one of the most difficult. We often cling tightly to our ideas, fears, habits, and even the pain that feels familiar. Sometimes we think holding on will protect us, but often it traps us in suffering. The practice of letting go is like opening a clenched fist to reveal that what we seek is already in our hands when we relax our grip. Imagine carrying a backpack filled with heavy stones. At first, you might want to hold on to every stone, thinking they are important. But with time, as your back grows weary, you start to realize that some stones are just weights slowing you down. Letting go is the wisdom to gently set down those stones one by one, feeling lighter and freer with each one released. The Buddha taught that suffering often comes from attachment, the strong craving and clinging to things, people, or ideas. When we hold tightly, fearing loss or change, we invite suffering. But when we embrace the discipline of letting go, we touch the heart of freedom. This is not a sudden act, but a practice, a path walked moment by moment. Letting go means welcoming impermanence, the truth that all things change. This awareness can feel scary because we wish for safety and certainty. Yet, when we see impermanence clearly, we start to loosen the chains of attachment. We understand that nothing lasts forever, and this understanding does not bring sadness but deep peace. There is a simple story from Buddhist teaching about a man who clutched tightly to a precious jewel. He feared losing it so much that his hands trembled and his whole body was tense. A wise monk approached and showed him the jewel was only an illusion. The man released his grip, and suddenly he felt free. The jewel was never real, but the tension in his hands was. This story reminds us how much suffering comes from our refusal to release what binds us. In daily life, the discipline of letting go can appear as small actions. A forgiving word, a deep breath, a decision to stop ruminating on a painful thought. These moments are like drops of water slowly filling a bowl of peace. They might seem small, but over time, they transform our inner landscape. Letting go does not mean ignoring our responsibilities or relationships. Buddhism invites us to love deeply and fully, yet without clinging. It asks us to care with an open hand, willing to give and receive without grasping. This kind of love is free and light, not heavy or possessive. When we hold tightly to anger, resentment, or past hurts, these emotions become like chains around our hearts. Learning to let go of these burdens is one of the greatest gifts we can give ourselves. Forgiveness, both of others and ourselves, is a profound form of release that heals wounds and opens the door to happiness. How far will you go when you choose to set down what no longer serves you? When you learn that true strength is not in holding tight, but in embracing freedom with gentle hands. The path of letting go is a journey inward, toward a heart that can rest peacefully amid life's changing tides. There is a metaphor in Zen teaching of a bird sitting on a branch. If the bird holds onto the branch too tightly, it cannot fly. But if it loosens its grip, it can spread its wings and soar into the sky. Your heart, like the bird's claws, can learn to hold and release, finding freedom in balance. This discipline also asks us to let go of the need to control everything. Life flows with its own rhythm, and the more we try to force it into our plans, the more suffering arises. When we practice surrender, not as defeat, but as wise acceptance, we align ourselves with the natural flow of existence. Letting go can be challenging because it often means facing uncertainty. But uncertainty is also the space where creativity, growth, and deep joy are born. When we stop resisting the unknown, we open ourselves to miracles, new opportunities, fresh perspectives, and healing connections. In practical terms, letting go might look like releasing harmful habits, stepping away from toxic relationships, or forgiving old regrets. It might mean choosing to live more simply, focusing on what truly matters rather than chasing endless desires. Each act of letting go brings you closer to the heart's freedom. Remember that letting go is a process, not a destination. Some days, holding on feels easier. Other days, release comes naturally. Both are part of the path. The key is patience. Patience with yourself, your feelings, and the unfolding of your journey. How far will you go when you trust this process? When you let go not out of fear, but from a place of love. When your heart opens step by step, releasing its burdens and reclaiming its light. The discipline of letting go is a soft but powerful force. It teaches us that peace is not found in possession, but in openness. Not in clinging, but in flowing. This flowing leads to a life lived fully and freely. A life radiant with joy, even amid life's inevitable changes. Buddhism offers many tools to support this discipline: mindfulness, meditation, chanting, but the essence is always the same. To lean into the present moment with kindness and courage, to see clearly what we cling to, and to gently release with an open heart. So, walk this path with gentle steps. Let go, breathe, and watch as the weight falls away. Feel the lightness grow, the heart expand, and the spirit soar. Each moment of letting go is a sacred dance toward true freedom. There is a peace waiting in your hands, waiting behind your fears, waiting beyond your grasp. How far will you go to find it? The choice always is yours, step by tender step, breath by loving breath. There is a deep beauty in walking life's path with an open heart, a heart that moves beyond itself to hold others with understanding and love. In Buddhism, this is called compassion, the sacred ability to feel deeply, not only for our own pain, but for the suffering of all beings. How far will you go when your footsteps become steps of compassion, when your heart opens wide enough to hold the pain and joy of the world? Compassion is more than just kindness or sympathy. It is a profound connection that arises when we see clearly that all beings share the same desire: to be happy and free from suffering. This shared experience binds us together in an invisible web of life. An awakening to this truth can transform how we live and move in the world. Many times, we separate ourselves from others, building walls of fear, judgment, and misunderstanding. Yet the Buddhist path calls us gently to break down these walls, starting with a simple intention: to be present with others as they are, with all their wounds and wonders. Compassion begins here, not with grand gestures, but with small acts of presence and open-hearted attention. Imagine a mother holding her child, soothing with warmth and quiet care. This image reflects the essence of compassion, the desire to ease suffering through gentle presence. This same motherly heart is present within each one of us, waiting to be awakened. When compassion moves through you, you become a source of comfort and healing, not only for others, but for your own restless heart. There are many stories in Buddhist teachings about compassion's power. One tells of a monk who, seeing a wounded bird trapped in a hunter's snare, gently freed it despite the risk of anger from the hunter. His kindness was not just for the bird, but for all living beings, reflecting the boundless nature of true compassion. This story reminds us that compassion asks for courage. It asks us to stand for kindness even when it is difficult or unclear. Compassion is not always easy. It asks us to be vulnerable, to open ourselves to pain without turning away. Yet, this openness is also what heals. When you hold someone else's suffering with a warm heart, you are not only helping them, but also softening your own heart's edges. Compassion is a bridge, connecting hearts and dissolving loneliness. The practice of compassion begins with oneself. This is often the hardest step. Many carry deep self-judgment and harsh words inside. Buddhism teaches that to truly care for others, you must first care for yourself with gentleness. Self-compassion is like water poured into a dry cup. It fills and nourishes, allowing you to then pour your love outward without running empty. How do you cultivate compassion in daily life? It can start with small, mindful acts: a kind word, a soft smile, a moment of listening without interrupting. Sometimes, it is simply noticing your own pain and offering yourself a quiet word of comfort. These small ripples build a river of compassion that flows beyond you, touching all who cross your path. There is a beautiful teaching that compassion blossoms most fully when paired with wisdom. Wisdom helps us understand the nature of suffering and joy, the impermanence of all things, and the deep interconnectedness of life. With wisdom, compassion is not blind feeling but clear, steady love that sees as it cares. Imagine the world as a vast garden. Each act of compassion is a seed planted, sometimes growing quickly into bright flowers, other times taking roots slowly beneath the surface. Over time, the garden blooms with kindness, patience, and peace. Your heart is a gardener, lovingly tending this sacred space. How far will you go when you let compassion guide your steps? Will you open your heart to others' pain as well as your own? Compassion does not require perfection or endless sacrifice, only a sincere willingness to be present with life's joys and sorrows. Sometimes, compassion means setting boundaries gently, knowing when to give and when to rest. It is not selflessness that depletes but balance that sustains. Caring for yourself and others with this balance is a sacred art that Buddhism honors deeply. When challenges arise, compassion can soften the harsh edges of frustration, anger, or despair. It invites patience and understanding. When conflicts appear, compassion can open a door toward healing instead of blame. This kind of love transforms not only relationships, but the whole fabric of our lives. There is a tender story of a woman who cared for her aging father despite exhaustion and hardship. Though her path was difficult, her compassion shone like a beacon, lighting the darkest moments with warmth. Her story reflects a truth. Compassion is strength cloaked in softness. In your own journey, remember that compassion is not a destination but a way of being. It unfolds slowly, moment by moment, breath by breath. When you pause to listen deeply, to offer kindness without expectation, you step closer to the heart of awakening. How far will you go when you choose to walk this path of compassion? When every step you take feels like an offering of love, this path leads not away from life's difficulties but straight into their heart, where healing and freedom blossom. Buddhism offers many practices to cultivate compassion. Meditation on loving kindness, mindful speech, acts of generosity. Yet the essence remains simple: to see another suffering and respond with a heart that understands, forgives, and cares deeply. So, move forward with a heart wide open and feet gentle upon the earth. Let compassion be the quiet song in your soul, the light that guides you no matter how far the journey. In this way, your path becomes not only one of freedom, but also a blessing to the world. Each moment filled with compassion is a step beyond separation and fear. It is a step into connection, peace, and love without boundaries. How far will you go? The answer lies in the soft turning of your heart toward all beings, including yourself. Life is a dance between effort and rest, between action and stillness. To live fully and wisely, we must learn the delicate balance of giving our best, while also honoring the need to pause and renew. Buddhism teaches this balance as a path of harmony, where neither pushing too hard nor sitting too long leads to true peace. How far will you go when you find this balance? When effort and rest become partners guiding your footsteps. Many people believe that success and awakening come only through relentless effort, always doing more, striving harder, never stopping. While determination is important, too much pushing can lead to burnout, frustration, and despair. The Buddha understood this well. Before his awakening, he tried extremes of discipline and austerity, only to find they did not lead to liberation. Instead, he offered the middle way, a path that embraces both effort and ease. Effort in Buddhism is called viriya, which means the energy and enthusiasm to walk the path of awakening. This energy is precious. It fuels kindness, wisdom, and growth. Without effort, the mind falls into laziness or confusion, and the heart can lose its joy. But effort is most effective when it is applied with care and understanding, not as a heavy burden, but as a gentle encouragement. Rest is equally important. Rest is not weakness or failure. It is a sacred gift. When we rest, the mind and body recover, wounds begin to heal, and clarity returns. The Buddha himself rested under the Bodhi tree many times during his meditation, showing us that stillness nurtures the seeds of awakening. Rest allows us to listen deeply to ourselves and the world around us. Imagine a tree growing in a quiet forest. It does not rush to reach the sky, but grows slowly, growing roots deep into the earth while opening branches to the light. The tree knows when to stretch and when to rest. Even in the cold of winter, it holds steady, waiting for the right moment to bloom. This natural rhythm is a lesson for human life. How often do we forget to rest? In our busy lives, rest can feel like a luxury or even a waste of time. Yet without rest, effort becomes heavy and unsustainable. The path to true peace includes mindfulness of when to act and when to withdraw, when to speak and when to listen in silence. Buddhism encourages meditation as a way to cultivate this balance. Through meditation, we train the mind to be both alert and calm, awake and relaxed. Sitting quietly, breathing gently, we learn that we do not have to rush to the next thing, nor do we have to remain stuck in stillness. We learn to flow with the rhythm of life. There is an ancient story about a river that flows gently around stones and bends, never forcing its way, but moving endlessly toward the ocean. This river is like the balanced life, steady effort with soft flexibility, always moving but with grace and acceptance. When you move like this river, you open a path of ease and joy. Finding the balance between effort and rest also means listening deeply to your own body and mind. When tension or fatigue arise, it is a signal to slow down, to breathe more deeply, to give yourself care. When energy returns, it is time to act with full presence. This cycle of giving and receiving, doing and being, is a sacred dance in the path of awakening. How far will you go when you treat effort and rest as friends rather than enemies? When you meet your own limits with kindness and push gently beyond them when the time is right. This balanced way leads to sustainable growth, deeper happiness, and lasting peace. Many seekers of truth have fallen into the trap of extremes. Some push so hard that their hearts become hardened, their spirits exhausted. Others withdraw too much and never take steps forward. The Buddha's middle way invites us to step out of these extremes and find a steady, wise path. In your daily life, this may look like setting realistic goals that inspire but do not overwhelm. It may mean prioritizing sleep, healthy food, and moments of quiet. It might be choosing when to say no instead of overcommitting. It means honoring yourself as a whole being, mind, body, and spirit. Rest also means surrendering control sometimes. There are moments when we cannot do more, when the best action is to simply be still and trust the unfolding of life. This surrender is not giving up, but an act of deep faith, trusting that what is needed will arise in its own time. How far will you go when you realize that effort without rest is like a candle burning at both ends? When you learn that true strength flows from filling your own well, so it can overflow into every part of your life. This realization brings a gentle confidence, a steady flame that does not flicker with every worry or distraction. There is a beautiful rhythm in this balance. Like the breath, inhaling and exhaling, effort and rest nourish each other. Imagine breathing in energy and breathing out tension, riding the wave of life with ease and intention. This is the practice of walking the middle path with grace and resilience. The most profound gifts come not from rushing or resisting, but from meeting life as it is, with clear eyes, open heart, and steady will. When you honor the balance of effort and rest, you create a foundation for deep awakening, a life that flows freely, joyfully, and peacefully. So, walk gently on your path. Push forward with love. Rest when needed. Trust in the natural rhythm that holds space for both movement and stillness. Know that this balance is not a destination but a lifelong dance, ever deepening and unfolding. How far will you go when you embrace this dance? When your every step carries the lightness of balance, the strength of surrender, and the wisdom of love. The journey is yours to make. All in this precious moment, breath by breath, step by step. Deep within each person, beneath the surface of daily thoughts and worries, lies a mountain, a quiet, steady presence that holds the true strength of the spirit. This mountain is not made of stone or soil, but of the timeless qualities of patience, wisdom, and calm. How far will you go when you begin to climb this mountain within? Step by gentle step, breath by loving breath. The mountain within is a symbol of your inner self, unchanging, lasting, and deeply rooted. Life's storms may blow fiercely across its slopes, but the mountain remains. It invites you to stand steady, to breathe deeply, and to find peace not in changing circumstances, but in the calm heart that witnesses them. Many people feel small in the face of life's challenges, overwhelmed by difficulties, fears, and doubts. Yet, Buddhism teaches that inside us is vast potential, a mountain of strength waiting to be discovered. This strength is not about force or aggression, but about quiet endurance, deep compassion, and unwavering presence. Imagine the mountain wrapped in clouds, sometimes hidden from view. Just because the peak is not always visible does not mean it is not there. Similarly, your true self may feel hidden beneath layers of pain, confusion, or distraction, but it remains steady and waiting for your attention. The Buddha's teachings often compare the path to awakening with a journey up a mountain. The climb may be slow and sometimes difficult, but each step brings new views, fresh air, and closer connection to the sky. The mountain summit is not a distant prize, but the unfolding of deeper awareness and love within you. The mountain is also a place of refuge. When life's noise and chaos feel too loud, retreating inward to this mountain allows a calm space to breathe and rest. Meditation is like a walk up a gentle path on this mountain. With each breath and moment of stillness, you become more in touch with your inner heights, the peace that does not shake with storms. How often do we lose sight of this mountain? The distractions of everyday life, the rush of worries, and the pull of desires can draw us away from our deep center. But the mountain within calls softly, inviting a return. No matter how far you wander, the mountain is always there, waiting for your homecoming. Climbing this mountain is not about rushing or forcing the way. It is about gentle persistence, like roots growing steadily under the earth or streams carving slow paths through rock. Each step taken with mindfulness and kindness nourishes your strength and brings you closer to the heart's peace. There is a Zen story about a wise master and a student walking up a mountain path. The student stumbled and worried about the steep climb. The master said, "The mountain has no rush. The journey is your teacher. Keep your step steady and your heart open." This teaching reminds us that the mountain path is not a race, but a sacred journey inward. Your mountain is made of qualities that do not fade with time: patience that accepts what cannot be changed, wisdom that sees clearly beyond illusions, and kindness that embraces even the darkest moments. These qualities are gifts cultivated by practice and love. How far will you go when you unleash the mountain's power within you? When you stand with the patience to endure, the courage to face uncertainty, and the love to hold all parts of yourself gently. This mountain is not high or cold, but warm and welcoming. It is the home you carry wherever you go. Sometimes, climbing the mountain means facing your fears and shadows. It means seeing parts of yourself you may have hidden or denied. This courageous seeing is not easy, but the mountain holds you safely as you explore your depths. The more you face your truths, the more your spirit rises like the mountain's peak toward the sky. In practical life, the mountain within whispers to you through moments of calm. The quiet minutes before sleep, the stillness in nature, or the pause between thoughts. Cultivating mindfulness, gratitude, and presence nurtures this inner mountain, making it strong enough to carry you through all seasons. There is strength in stillness. The mountain neither rushes nor fears the passing storms. It stands quiet and confident, grounded in its own nature. When you trust this strength within, you move through life's challenges with grace, knowing that nothing can shake your core peace. How far will you go when you realize that your true power is the mountain inside, steady, vast, and unshakable? When every breath reminds you of this hidden height, waiting to support you no matter what comes. Life may pull you in many directions, but the mountain calls you home. To yourself, to peace, and to freedom. The climb is yours, sacred and real, made one careful step at a time. So, walk gently, breathe deeply, and look to the mountain within. It is your strength, your refuge, and your guide. Here, in the heart of the mountain, you find the peace that outlasts storms and the love that warms even the coldest nights. The journey up is not always easy, but with patience and courage, you will rise. Each moment of awareness, each act of kindness, each breath taken with love is a step higher, closer to the summit of your true self. This mountain is your true home. It holds your history and your future, your joys and your sorrows. Trust in its enduring presence, and know that you are never alone on this climb. How far will you go? The mountain waits with open arms, inviting you to rest in its vast heart and walk forward with steady feet and a calm spirit. Each breath is a step, and each step is a blessing. As the journey unfolds, a question returns gently to your heart. How far will you go? This question is not about distance or achievement, but about depth. The depth of your breathing, your feeling, your presence in each moment. The path that began as a search for freedom now reveals itself as a journey without end. A journey into the fullness of life itself. Walking this path, you realize that there is no final destination to reach, no summit to stand upon forever. Awakening is not a place you arrive at. It is the unfolding of your true nature in each step, each breath, and each gentle act of kindness. It is the dance of life lived fully, awake, and alive in the present moment. Remember how this journey began. With questions, with a flicker of longing for peace beyond suffering. You asked yourself how far you would go, what you were willing to face and release. Along the way, you met desire and learned how to hold it lightly. You encountered suffering and faced it with courage. You nurtured determination's flame and embraced fear as a teacher. You practiced letting go and walked with compassion. You discovered balance in effort and rest and climbed the mountain within. This path, woven with wisdom and love, invites you to live fully in the mystery of now. Each moment is precious, each breath sacred. There is a profound peace to be found in simply being, without needing to fix, change, or escape. This peace comes from accepting life as it is, with all its beauty and imperfection. How far will you go when you stop searching for answers outside and turn your gaze inward? When you recognize that the temple you seek is within your own heart. The Buddha taught that enlightenment shines like the sun, always present, even behind clouds of doubt and fear. To awaken is to uncover this light within you, steady, bright, and boundless. We often forget to cherish the journey itself. Instead, we focus on goals, plans, or ideals. But life asks us to be present, to listen deeply, to love fully, and to walk gently. The journey is not a burden, but a gift. Each moment holds an opportunity to awaken to the beauty of existence, to experience joy, pain, love, and loss as threads weaving the tapestry of being. You may have noticed that the road is not always smooth. There are times of joy and times of difficulty, moments when the heart soars and moments when it breaks. Both are welcomed on this path. The Buddha did not promise a life without challenges, but showed us how to meet challenges with wisdom and grace. Throughout this journey, you have cultivated patience. Patience with yourself and with the unfolding of your true self. You have learned that transformation comes slowly, like the blooming of a lotus hidden beneath muddy waters. Patience is the tender soil where seeds of wisdom grow strong roots and blossom into peace. Compassion has become your companion, softening the edges of suffering and opening your heart wider than you imagined possible. Compassion for yourself and others is the light that dissolves separation and fear, revealing the deep connection that binds all beings. Your determination has been steady, a flame that never extinguished, even when winds of doubt blew fiercely. This determination is a sacred strength, not forceful or harsh, but quiet and enduring. It carries you beyond obstacles into the open space of freedom. The mountain within remains your refuge, a place of calm and strength rising above passing storms. This mountain is always there beneath life's changing weather, ready to support you whenever you pause and return. Balance has graced your steps, teaching you when to push forward and when to rest. The dance of effort and ease flows naturally in your body and mind, inviting a life of harmony and joy. Now, standing here at this moment in the journey, the invitation unfolds to live fully awake with open eyes, an open heart, and steady breath. To see that each step, each smile, each act of love is part of the unfolding path. This path never ends because life itself never ends. Each day brings new opportunities to practice kindness, patience, and presence. Each moment offers a chance to awaken deeper into truth and love. How far will you go when you realize the journey is your true home? When every breath is a beginning, every step a return. This journey is not separate from you. It is you, in all your wonder and grace. Before you leave this story, there is one heartfelt request. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.3% subscribe. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your simple act supports this work deeply and allows these peaceful teachings to reach more hearts. Together, we walk this path, lighting the way for each other. As the sun sets and rises again, as the seasons change in perfect rhythm, may your heart find peace in the endless dance of life. Walk gently, breathe deeply, love fully. This is the path that calls you home, again and again. Not to a place, but to the vast, radiant space of your own true self. How far will you go? The journey is yours, infinite and beautiful, unfolding with every loving breath you take.